Morbius. Morbius is a story of Dr. Michael Morbius, who is a brilliant physician and researcher who's trying to find a cure for his lifelong ailment. He's diligently working to find a cure as him and his best friend Milo, who's played by Matt Smith, are running out of time. They both have this ailment. If Morbius can't find a cure soon, they will probably end up dying. Michael is on the brink of a cure, but it's highly experimental and also illegal. But he has to go with his newest method anyway. He goes on international waters, he tries out his newest cure, but things go terribly wrong, and it changes him in ways that are beyond imagination, and essentially creates a new ailment. And we have our movie. Overall, I'm going to say Morbius is a confusing, lackluster, and underwhelming story about a guy who's essentially trying to navigate his newfound condition. The premise in and of itself doesn't beg a whole lot of intrigue, and the poor execution in the movie makes matters only worse. It's got a plot that seems to go nowhere, a script that makes very little sense, and conflict that's just really shoehorned and really hard to care about. All of that together makes for a pretty boring watch for a majority of the runtime. Now, there is creativity in Morbius's abilities, and they're shown off in abundance in the film, but it's not enough to save it. Specifically, I'll start with this. Morbius is a well-paced film. Although on the whole, Morbius is boring, I never felt that the runtime was too long. The story at hand was told at an appropriate cadence, although if you're probably feeling bored for most of it, but at minimum kept you paying attention, whether it was through its special effects, Morbius's powers, or otherwise. There were few, if any, points or scenes that lingered on for too long, or conversation between characters that overstayed its welcome, even if the conflicts and dialogue didn't ultimately lead to anything. And also, Morbius's powers were super novel and creative, and I actually really enjoyed seeing them unfold. With a ton of comic book movies in existence in recent cinema history, it's pretty rare to find superpowers that are new. Of course, in this movie, you've got the tropes of super strength, super speed, but there are others that are introduced that actually caught my attention, and they actually proved to be really refreshing and really interesting, so kudos to the movie for that. But on the other side of this coin, the plot of Morbius makes for the weakest part of the film, and the plot can simply be broken down into the fact that Morbius is just navigating his new condition throughout the entire film. And that simplicity creates a void that's just absent of any conflict whatsoever. And without any conflict, it makes it really hard to care about any of the events that are occurring in the movie. And to make up for that, the movie tries to introduce new characters, new conflicts, new ideas, but they come off as really forced, unimportant, and almost impossible to buy into. It just feels as though they were created out of thin air to add levity to the movie, but it just fell flat on its face. And to make matters worse, the weakly written script only compounds on the hollowness of the movie. There are several new instances of conflict, characters, and dynamics that are introduced, but they're really weakly integrated into the film. Many of them appear with very little explanation, logic, or reasoning behind them, which will leave you at minimum feeling confused, and at maximum just straight up wondering why they were ever introduced in the first place. It just created for many scenes of the film that could have straight up just been cut out and saved on a little bit of runtime, or at least avoid further confusion. And unfortunately, that confusion only continues throughout the entire film. As we begin to explore Morbius and unravel his condition a little bit more, these new guidelines and parameters are introduced about him. Things that he's susceptible, things he can do, things he can't do. But those parameters seem to be ignored throughout the script of the film in order to fuel the artificial conflict that I talked about earlier, and it just continued to hammer this movie down. Which then begs to us as the audience, did the movie just not clearly communicate what exactly Morbius was dealing with, or did we miss something? Or is the movie just straight up contradicting itself? But by that point, it's too late to buy anything that the movie is selling to us. So friends, at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to give Morbius a 4 out of 10. I didn't think it was a good movie, and I'd ultimately recommend skipping it to see something else. Friends, have you seen Morbius? If so, what did you think of it? You know where the comment section is. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching another Bankrupt Hippo movie review. If you like this, click right here if you'd like to see more. I've been Bryson. Until next time, have a great day.